Jake Morrison wiped the sweat from his forehead as he watched the scanner readings on his salvage ship's main display. The asteroid belt around Crater's Edge mining station was always full of debris, but today something was different. His equipment was picking up metal signatures that didn't match any human technology. He had been working alone on the Frontier Station for 3 years now. Most people couldn't handle the isolation, but Jake liked the quiet. He fixed broken equipment, salvaged useful parts from crashed ships, and minded his own business. The pay was decent, and nobody bothered him out here. The scanner beeped again. Whatever was out there was big, and it was moving fast. Too fast for space junk. Jake grabbed his helmet and sealed his environmental suit. His small salvage ship, the Finder, was built for one person and equipped with everything he needed for his work. He fired up the engines and headed toward the signal. It took him 20 minutes to reach the source of the readings. What he found made him stop and stare through his helmet's visor. A sleek fighter craft, unlike anything he had ever seen, was tumbling slowly through space. It was beautiful in a deadly way, with curved lines and a metallic surface that seemed to shift colors in the starlight. The ship was also completely destroyed on one side. Hull plates were torn away, and he could see sparks coming from damaged systems inside. Whatever had hit this craft had hit it hard. Jake moved his ship closer and activated his external lights. The fighter was about twice the size of his salvage vessel, with writing along its hull in symbols he didn't recognize. This was definitely alien technology. He should have called it into the mining station security office. That was protocol when dealing with unknown alien contacts. But something stopped him. The fighter wasn't broadcasting any distress signals, but it wasn't shooting at him either. And there might be someone inside who needed help. Jake positioned his ship next to the damaged fighter and extended his docking tube. The alien craft's airlock was damaged, but he managed to get a seal. He grabbed his emergency medical kit and his plasma cutter, then cycled through the airlock. The inside of the alien ship was dark except for a few flickering emergency lights. The air was thin and getting thinner. Jake's suit automatically switched to internal oxygen as he moved through the craft. He found her in what looked like the pilot's seat, slumped forward and unconscious. She was tall, maybe 6.5 feet, with silver blue skin and long dark hair. Her face was angular but beautiful, with high cheekbones and pointed ears. Intricate tattoos covered her arms and disappeared under her clothing, but it was her armor that made Jake catch his breath. Even damaged, it was the most beautiful piece of technology he had ever seen. The metal seemed to flow like liquid, with patterns that reminded him of circuit boards mixed with ancient art. Pieces of it were cracked or missing, and he could see that the life support systems had failed. Jake checked for vital signs. She was breathing, but barely. Her pulse was weak and irregular. He didn't know anything about alien biology, but he knew what dying looked like in any species. He worked quickly to disconnect her from the damaged pilot's seat. She was heavier than she looked, and the armor added extra weight. Jake had to make 3 trips to get her and her equipment back to his ship. Once he had her in his medical bay, Jake did what he could to help her. His medical equipment was designed for humans, but basic life support was basic life support. He managed to get her on oxygen and started in forward with a simple saline solution. The armor was another problem. It was clearly some kind of advanced life support system, but it was failing. Lights that had probably once been bright were dim or dark. Jake could hear systems shutting down one by one. He spent the next hour carefully removing pieces of the armor. Each piece was a work of art, covered in symbols and patterns that seemed to tell a story. The metal was worn to the touch and surprisingly light. Some pieces came off easily, while others seemed to be sealed or locked in place. Underneath the armor, she wore a simple black bodysuit that covered her from neck to toe. Jake could see more tattoos through the thin material and several healing wounds on her arms and legs. This woman was a warrior, that much was clear. With the armor removed, her breathing improved slightly. Jake covered her with a thermal blanket and set up monitors to track her vital signs. There wasn't much else he could do except wait and hope. While she slept, Jake examined the armor pieces he had removed. The technology was far beyond anything humans had developed. The metal seemed to repair itself in some places, and he could see tiny circuits running through the material like veins. Some pieces still had power, displaying alien symbols that shifted and changed as he watched. Jake had always been good with his hands. As a kid, he had taken apart every electronic device in his house, much to his parents' frustration. That curiosity had led him to become an engineer, and later to this job on the frontier where he could work with all kinds of technology. But this armor was different. It wasn't just advanced technology. It was art, craftsmanship, and engineering all rolled into one. Whoever had made this had spent years, maybe decades, perfecting every detail. Jake set up a work table and began organizing the armor pieces. Some were clearly for protection, while others seemed to be for communication or life support. A few pieces he couldn't identify at all, but they hummed with barely contained energy. The woman slept for 2 days. Jake checked on her every few hours, adjusting her fore and monitoring her recovery. Her color was improving, and her breathing was stronger. Whatever species she was tough. On the 3rd day, Jake was working on one of the armor pieces when he heard movement from the medical bay. He quickly saved his work and went to check on his patient. She was sitting up, looking around with bright amber eyes. When she saw Jake, her hand immediately went to her side, reaching for a weapon that wasn't there. "Easy," Jake said, holding up his hands. "I'm not going to hurt you. You were injured. I pulled you from your ship." She stared at him for a long moment, then spoke in a voice like music. The words were completely alien, but the tone was questioning. "I don't understand," Jake said. "Do you speak Standard?" She tilted her head, thinking. Then she spoke again, this time an accented but clear Standard. "You saved me? Your ship was destroyed. You were dying. I brought you here and got you medical attention." She looked around the small medical bay, then back at Jake. "You are human." "Yes, my name is Jake Morrison. What's yours?" She hesitated. "I am Kira. Well, Kira, you're safe now. How do you feel?" She tested her arms and legs, wincing slightly. "I will recover. Where is my armor?" "I had to remove it. The life support systems were failing. It's in my workshop." Kira's eyes widened with what looked like alarm. "You took apart my armor." "I was trying to help you. Some of the pieces were damaged, and I thought I might be able to fix them." For a moment, Kira looked like she might panic. Then she took a deep breath and nodded. "You were trying to help. Thank you for saving my life, Jake Morrison. Just Jake is fine. Are you hungry? I've got some food that should be safe for you." Jake went to prepare a meal. He wondered what he had gotten himself into. He had saved an alien warrior's life, and now she was sitting in his medical bay asking about armor. That was clearly more than just protective gear. But one thing was certain. His quiet life on Crater's Edge had just become a lot more interesting. Jake returned to the medical bay with a tray of food and water. Kira was sitting on the edge of the bed, testing her balance. She moved like a dancer, even injured. Every motion was controlled and graceful. "Here," Jake said, setting the tray. "On a small table." I wasn't sure what you could eat, so I kept it simple. Protein bars, dried fruit, and water. Kira examined the food carefully before taking a small bite of the protein bar. She chewed thoughtfully, then nodded. "This is acceptable." "Thank you." Jake pulled up a chair and sat down. "So what happened to your ship? It looked like you took a beating out there." Kira's expression darkened. "Pirates. They have been raiding ships along the border between your space and mine. I was hunting them when they ambushed me." "You're a cop?" "Something like that." Kira took another bite of food. "I am a warrior of the Valdari Empire. It is my duty to protect our people from criminals and raiders." Jake nodded. He had heard of the Valdari Empire, though he had never met one of their people before. They were known to be honorable but distant, keeping mostly to their own territory. How many pirates were there? 3 ships. Fast attack craft with heavy weapons. I destroyed one before they damaged my fighter. Kira's amber eyes flashed with anger. They escaped into your asteroid field. I followed, but my ship was too damaged to continue the fight. What kind of weapons did they have? Kira described the pirate ships and their tactics. Jake listened carefully. He had seen the results of pirate raids before. They were brutal and efficient, taking what they wanted and leaving destruction behind. You were outnumbered 3-1, Jake said. That was brave of you to follow them. It was my duty. Kira finished the protein bar and started on the dried fruit. These criminals must be stopped. They have already killed too many innocent people. Jake studied her face. There was something in her voice when she talked about duty. A weight that seemed too heavy for someone who looked so young. How long have you been a warrior? Since I was old enough to hold a weapon. My people believe that strength comes from training and discipline. What's your world like? For the first time, Kira's serious expression softened slightly. Beautiful. We have great cities of crystal and metal that reach toward the stars. Our people are artists and warriors, builders and explorers. We value honor above all else. Sounds nice. Different from Earth. Tell me about your world, Kira said. I have heard stories, but I would like to know the truth. Jake leaned back in his chair. Earth is complicated. We have beautiful places and ugly places. Good people and bad people. We're not as advanced as your people, but we're learning. We're stubborn and curious, and we never give up. You never give up. It's a human thing. When everyone tells us something is impossible, we try harder. When things look hopeless, we find a way. My grandfather used to say that humans are too stupid to know when they're beaten. Kira smiled at that. It was the first real smile Jake had seen from her, and it transformed her face completely. I think I understand. You saved me when a smarter person might have left me to die. I couldn't just leave you there. Another person might have. They might have been afraid or thought it was not their problem. Jake shrugged. Maybe, but I was raised to help people when they need it. Doesn't matter if they're human or alien. They talked for another hour while Kira ate and regained her strength. Jake learned that she had been tracking the pirates for weeks, following a trail of destroyed ships and stolen cargo. The criminals were well armed and organized, with contacts in both human and alien space. I need to repair my armor and continue the hunt, Kira said finally. These pirates will strike again soon. Your armor is pretty badly damaged. I've been looking at it, but I don't understand how it works. May I see it? Jake led her to his workshop, supporting her arm as she walked. She was stronger than she had been, but still recovering from her injuries. The workshop was Jake's pride and joy. He had spent years collecting tools and equipment, some human and some alien. Workbenches lined the walls, covered with projects in various stages of completion. The armor pieces were laid out on his main table, organized by size and function. Kira stopped in the doorway and stared. For a moment, Jake thought she was angry. Then he realized she was fighting back tears. I thought it was completely destroyed, she whispered. She moved to the table and picked up one of the arm pieces. Her fingers traced the intricate patterns carved into the metal. This armor has been in my family for generations. It was made by the finest craftsmen in the Empire. It's beautiful, Jake said. I've never seen anything like it. Each piece tells a story. These symbols represent battles fought and won. These patterns show the history of my family line. Kira set the piece down carefully. I was afraid I had lost it forever. I think most of it can be repaired. The technology is way beyond what I'm used to, but the basic principles are the same. Power systems, life support, communication gear. I just need to understand how it all fits together. Kira turned to him with an expression of surprise. You Would do that? Help me repair it. Of course. You're going after dangerous criminals. You'll need every advantage you can get. But you barely know me. And this armor, it would take weeks to repair properly. Jake looked at the scattered pieces of alien technology. It would be the challenge of a lifetime, trying to understand and fix something so advanced. But he had always loved a good challenge. I've got time. And to be honest, I'm curious. This is the most interesting thing that's happened to me in years. Kira studied his face for a long moment. You are a strange human, Jake Morrison. Thanks, I think. On my world, help like this would create a debt of honor. I would owe you a great service in return. I don't want payment. I just want to help. That is what makes you strange. Kira smiled again, but I am grateful. With your help, I might be able to stop these pirates before they kill again. Jake picked up one of the chess pieces and turned it over in his hands. The metal was warm and seemed to pulse with its own inner light. I'll need you to explain how everything works. The symbols, the power systems, all of it. I will teach you what I can, but Jake ... double quotes. Kira hesitated. There are things about my armor, about me, that I cannot explain. Not yet. Everyone has secrets. I'm not going to push. Thank you for understanding. Jake set up a comfortable chair next to his workbench. Why don't you rest while I start examining the damaged pieces? Tomorrow we can begin the real work. As Kira settled into the chair, Jake noticed she was watching him with an expression he couldn't quite read. There was gratitude there, but also something else. Worry. Maybe. Or fear. Whatever secret she was hiding, Jake decided he didn't care. She was a warrior fighting to protect innocent people, and she needed his help. That was enough for him. He picked up his tools and got to work, unaware that he was about to embark on the most important repair job of his life. The first week of working on Kira's armor taught Jake more about alien technology than he had learned in his entire career. Every piece was like a puzzle, with layers of complexity that revealed themselves slowly. This symbol means power flow, Kira explained, pointing to a curved line etched into a shoulder piece. And this one controls the life support systems. Jake nodded, making notes on his tablet. What about this cluster of symbols here? Kira hesitated. Those are personal markings. They identify the wearer. Like a name tag? Something like that. Kira turned the piece over quickly. The important thing is understanding how the power flows through the entire system. Jake had noticed she did that a lot. Whenever he asked about certain symbols or decorative elements, she would change the subject or give vague answers. He didn't push, but his curiosity was growing. The armor was more complex than anything he had ever worked with. Each piece contained multiple systems that worked together in ways that seemed almost magical. The metal itself was alive in some sense, responding to the wearer's thoughts and emotions. The armor learns from you, Kira explained during their second week of work. It adapts to your fighting style, your preferences, even your mood. How is that possible? I do not understand the full science behind it. The armor was made by master craftsmen who kept their secrets well guarded. Jake was working on a damage power cell from the chess piece. The technology was centuries ahead of anything humans had developed, but the basic principles were familiar. Energy storage, power distribution, safety systems. He just had to figure out how it all fit together. Try connecting the blue crystal to the main power grid, Kira suggested. But be careful. If you reverse the polarity, the entire system could overload. Jake made the connection slowly, watching his instruments for any signs of trouble. The power cell hummed to life, and several status lights began glowing on the chess piece. It's working, he said with satisfaction. The power output is steady. You are a gifted engineer, Kira said. Most people would have given up by now. I don't give up easily. My ex-wife used to say I was too stubborn for my own good. You were married? Jake kept working, not looking up. For 3 years. She wanted me to take a safe job in the core systems. I wanted to explore the frontier. We both wanted different things. Do you miss her? Sometimes, but I'm happier out here. I like the quiet, the challenge of fixing things that other people can't. Kira was quiet for a moment. I understand. Duty can be lonely. Is that why you're out here alone? Duty? My people believe that some responsibilities cannot be shared. The hunt for these pirates is mine to complete. Jake finally looked up from his work. That sounds like a lonely way to live. It is the way I was raised. Personal desires must come second to the needs of others. What about what you want? Kira smiled sadly. What I want does not matter. Jake wanted to argue with her, but he could see the pain in her eyes. Whatever burden she carried, it was heavy. During the third week, Jake began to understand the armor's communication systems. The helmet contained a translator that could handle dozens of languages, as well as equipment for long-range communication. Across space. This is military grade, Jake said, examining the helmet's interior. Really advanced stuff. All Valveri warriors carry similar equipment, Kira replied, but Jake noticed she didn't quite meet his eyes. Do all Valdari warriors have armor this fancy? What do you mean? Jake gestured to the decorative elements covering every piece. The engravings, the precious metals, the gems embedded in the shoulder pieces. This looks like ceremonial armor, not battlefield gear. The armor serves both purposes, Kira said quickly. Valdari craftsmanship is always beautiful as well as functional. Jake accepted the explanation, but something about it bothered him. He had worked with military equipment before, and this armor seemed too elaborate for a regular soldier. As they worked together, Jake began to notice other things about Kira. The way she carried herself, with a natural authority that made people want to follow her. The way she spoke, with perfect grammar and a formal tone that suggested extensive education. The way she sometimes seemed surprised when Jake treated her as an equal instead of bowing or showing deference. Where did you learn to speak standard? So well, Jake asked one day. All Valdari warriors must learn multiple languages. It is part of our training. You speak it better than most humans I know. I had good teachers. Jake was getting used to her non-answers, but they made him more curious. There was clearly more to Kira's story than she was telling him. During the fourth week, Jake made a breakthrough with the armor's defensive systems. The chest piece contained a personal shield generator that could deflect energy weapons and absorb physical impacts. This is incredible, Jake said, watching the shield flicker to life around the armor piece. The power efficiency is off the charts. My armor has saved my life many times, Kira said. I owe much to the craftsmen who made it. They must have been masters of their trade. This level of workmanship would take years to achieve. The armor was a gift from my ... Kira stopped suddenly. It was given to me when I became a warrior. Jake noticed the hesitation, but didn't comment. Well, whoever gave it to you cared about keeping you alive. Yes, they did. As the weeks passed, Jake found himself looking forward to their work sessions. Kira was an excellent teacher, patient and knowledgeable. She also had a dry sense of humor that came out when she was relaxed. Human technology is so direct, she said one day, watching Jake rewire a power coupling. No elegance, no art. Just function. Hey, it works, Jake protested. Sometimes simple is better, perhaps, but where is the beauty in pure function? The beauty is in solving the problem, making something work that was broken. Kira considered this. I think I understand. You find art in the act of creation itself. Something like that. They often ate meals together in Jake's small kitchen. Kira told him stories about her homeworld, about great cities and ancient traditions. Jake shared tales of Earth, of human exploration, and the drive to reach the stars. Humans are very young as a species, Kira observed, but you have accomplished much in a short time. We're fast learners, and we don't like being told something. is impossible. I have noticed this about you. You approach problems that would defeat others, like fixing your armor, like saving a stranger's life without asking for anything in return. Jake felt heat rise in his cheeks. Anyone would have done the same thing. No, Jake, they would not. You are unusual among your people, just as... Kara trailed off. Just as what? Nothing. I was going to say something foolish. By the end of the 4th week, Jake had repaired about half of the armor pieces. The work was becoming more complex as he tackled the central processing units and neural interfaces. This connects directly to your nervous system, Jake said, examining the helmet's interior. That's incredible technology, and dangerous if not properly calibrated, Kira warned. The neural interface must be perfectly tuned to the wearer. How do you tune it? Usually by a skilled technician who has trained for years, but I think I can guide you through the process. Jake looked at the delicate components inside the helmet. One mistake could damage Kira's brain or even kill her, but she trusted him enough to let him try. Are you sure about this? I trust you, Jake Morrison. You have already worked miracles with my armor. All right, but we go slow and careful. Of course, there is no rush. But even as she said it, Jake could see the worry in Kira's eyes. She was thinking about the pirates, about the people they might hurt while she was stuck here recovering. Her sense of duty was eating at her, even as she tried to hide it. Jake turned back to his work, determined to get her armor operational as quickly as possible. Kira had a job to do, and he was going to make sure she could do it. The neural interface calibration took 3 days of careful work. Jake's hands were steady as he made tiny adjustments to the delicate components, while Kira guided him through each step with patience that surprised him. A little more to the left, Kira said, watching Jake work through a magnifying lens. The connection must be perfect, or the armor will not respond properly. Like this? Yes. Now secure it with the small clamp. Jake made the final adjustment and sat back. I think that's it. Want to test it? Kira picked up the helmet and turned it over in her hands. If you made a mistake, this could hurt me badly. I followed your instructions exactly. But if you're not comfortable, double quotes, no. Kira's voice was firm. I trust you. She placed the helmet over her head and activated the neural link. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the helmet began to glow with soft blue light, and Jake heard a quiet hum as the systems came online. It works, Kira said, her voice filled with relief. The connection is clean. You did it, Jake. We did it. I couldn't have managed without your help. Kira removed the helmet and smiled at him. It was a real smile, warm and genuine. You continue to amaze me. Most people would have given up weeks ago. Most people didn't have such a good teacher. Over the following days, Jake noticed changes in Kira. She seemed more relaxed, more willing to share small details about her life. She still avoided talking about her past, but she began to open up in other ways. What is Earth music like? She asked one evening while they worked on the armor's power distribution system. All kinds. Happy music, sad music, angry music. We have something for every mood. Play some for me. Jake connected his music player to the workshop speakers and selected a collection of human songs. Kira listened with fascination as melodies filled the air. This is beautiful, she said during a quiet guitar piece. It makes me feel peaceful. Music does that. It can change how you feel in just a few minutes. We have music on my world, too, but it is different, more formal, more structured. Everything doesn't have to be formal all the time. Kira looked at him with an expression Jake couldn't quite read. No, I suppose it does not. As the weeks passed, Jake began teaching Kira about human customs and culture. She was endlessly curious about Earth, asking questions about everything, from food to holidays to how human families worked. You choose your own jobs? She asked one day. Your parents do not decide for you? Most of the time, yeah. Some families have expectations, but ultimately it's your choice. That sounds freeing. It can be. But it also means you have to figure out what you want to do with your life. What if what you want conflicts with what others expect of you? Jake looked up from the gauntlet he was repairing. And then you have to decide what's more important. Your happiness or other people's expectations. It is not always that simple. No, it's not. But you only get one life. You should try to make it count. Kira was quiet for a long time after that conversation. Jake could see her thinking, wrestling with some internal conflict she wouldn't share. During their 6-week together, Jake began working on the armor's communication systems. The technology was incredibly advanced, capable of reaching across vast distances of space. This has enough range to contact your homeworld, Jake observed, studying the transmission array. If needed, yes. Shouldn't you check in? Let them know you're alive? Kira's expression became guarded. That is not necessary. I work alone, but surely someone is wondering where you are. Perhaps, but I cannot return until my mission is complete. Jake sensed there was more to it than that, but he didn't push. Instead, he focused on his work, carefully cleaning and calibrating each component. As the communication system came online, Jake was amazed by its sophistication. It could translate languages in real time, encode messages for security, and even transmit holographic images across space. Your people are way ahead of us in this technology, Jake said. The Valdari have been traveling between stars for thousands of years. We have had time to perfect our methods. What's the oldest piece of technology on your world? The Celestial Archive. It contains the recorded history of our people, going back to the founding of the first colony. Who has access to it? Kira hesitated. Scholars, historians, and ... double quotes. She stopped herself. Only those with proper clearance. Jake noticed she did that often, starting to say something and then cutting herself off. It was like she was constantly editing her words, afraid of revealing too much. One evening, while they shared dinner in Jake's small kitchen, Kira asked him about his family. My parents are retired, living on a colony world near Earth, Jake said. They think I'm crazy for staying out here alone. Do you miss them? Sometimes, but we stay in touch. What about your family? Kira's face grew sad. My father is ... gone. He died recently. I'm sorry. What happened? He was murdered by the same pirates I have been hunting. Jake felt a chill run through him. Kira, I'm so sorry. I had no idea. It is why I must stop them. They cannot be allowed to hurt anyone else. Is that why you're out here alone? This is personal. It is my duty to bring them to justice, but you're risking your life. Surely others could help. Some responsibilities cannot be shared. Kira's voice was firm. This is mine to complete. Jake wanted to argue, but he could see the pain in her eyes. Her father's death had driven her to this dangerous mission, and she wouldn't be talked out of it. Tell me about him, Jake said gently. What was he like? Kira's expression softened. He was a good man, strong, but also kind. He taught me to fight, but also to care for others. He believed that true strength came from protecting those who could not protect themselves. He sounds like a good father. He was. He would have liked you, I think. Why? Because you saved a stranger's life without asking what you might gain from it. That is the kind of person he respected. Jake felt warmth spread through his chest. I would have liked to meet him. He was very wise. He used to say that honor was not about following rules, but about doing what was right even when it was difficult. Smart man. Yes, he was. As they finished their meal, Jake noticed Kira watching him with an expression he hadn't seen before. There was something gentle in her amber eyes, something that made his pulse quicken. Jake, she said quietly, I want to thank you. For what? For everything. For saving my life, for fixing my armor, for treating me like a friend instead of a stranger. You don't need to thank me. I enjoyed the work. You have given me something I had forgotten existed. What's that? The feeling of being treated as a person, not just a warrior. With you, I can be myself. Jake felt his heart skip a beat. Who else would you be? Kira looked away. Someone I do not wish to be. Someone bound by duty and tradition. You can be whoever you want to be. Not everyone has that choice. Everyone has that choice. It's just that some choices are harder than others. Kira met his eyes again. You make it sound simple. Maybe it is. Maybe we make it more complicated than it needs to be. Perhaps you are right. That night, Jake lay in his bunk thinking about their conversation. There was something about Kira that didn't add up. The way she spoke about duty and tradition. The elaborate armor. The formal way she carried herself. She was hiding something important. And Jake was beginning to suspect it was bigger than just her mission against the pirates. But whatever her secrets were, Jake found himself caring about her more each day. She was brave, intelligent, and despite her serious nature, she had a gentleness that came out in quiet moments. As he drifted off to sleep, Jake wondered what would happen when the armor was finished. Will Kira leave to continue her hunt? Would he ever see her again? The thought of her leaving made his chest tighten with an emotion he wasn't ready to name. Jake made the breakthrough on a Tuesday morning during their 7th week of work together. He had been struggling with the armor's main power core, trying to understand how the alien energy crystals interface with the suit's various systems. The problem is power distribution, Jake muttered, studying the schematics Kira had drawn for him. There has to be a central control unit that manages everything. There is, Kira said, pointing to a section of the chess piece. But it is damaged. See how the crystal matrix is cracked. Jake examined the damaged crystal through his magnifying equipment. The fracture ran through the center of the power core, disrupting the energy flow to the entire suit. Can we replace it? Not easily. These crystals are grown over decades in special chambers on my homeworld. They are very rare. Jake frowned, thinking, what if we don't replace it? What if we bridge the gap? Bridge it how? With human technology. I could create a power coupling that bypasses the damaged section. Kira shook her head. Human power systems are not compatible with Valdari technology. The energy frequencies are completely different. Maybe. But what if I modify both systems? Create a translator that converts the frequencies? That would be incredibly difficult. The power requirements alone ... double quotes. Let me try. What's the worst? That could happen. The entire suit could overload and explode. Jake grinned. Then I better not make any mistakes. Kira stared at him for a moment, then laughed. It was the first time Jake had heard her really laugh, and the sound was like music. You are completely insane, she said. But if anyone could make such a thing work, it would be you. Jake spent the next 2 days designing a power coupling system that could bridge human and Valdari technology. It required components he didn't have, so he had to improvise with parts from his own equipment. You are taking apart your ship's backup power system, Kira observed, watching him work. I can build another one. Besides, if this doesn't work, we're both stuck here anyway. And if it explodes, then we'll have bigger problems than a broken power system. Kira helped him assemble the new components, her knowledge of Valdari technology essential to the process. As they worked side by side, Jake found himself stealing glances at her face. She was beautiful, but it was more than that. There was intelligence in her amber eyes and a strength that went beyond her physical abilities. Jake, she said quietly, why are you doing all this for me? What do you mean? You could have fixed my armor well enough for basic functions weeks ago. But you are pushing to make it better than it was before. Why? Jake considered his answer carefully. Because you deserve the best protection I can give you. You're going up against dangerous enemies, and I want you to come back alive. Come. Back? Well, yeah. I mean, you'll probably want to visit sometime. Check on how I'm doing, make sure I haven't blown myself up. Kira smiled sadly. I would like that. But my life is not my own to control. What does that mean? After I complete my mission, I must return to my duties. There will be other responsibilities, other obligations. What kind of obligations? Kira looked away. Nothing that would interest you. Jake wanted to push for more information, but he could see she was uncomfortable. Instead, he focused on the work, carefully connecting the new power coupling to the armor's main systems. On Thursday evening, Jake was ready to test a new power system. He had run every calculation he could think of, checked every connection twice, and prepared emergency shutdown procedures in case something went wrong. You sure about this? Kira asked for the 10th time. As sure as I can be. Stand back. Jake activated the power coupling. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the armor began to glow with soft blue light as power flowed through the systems. Status indicators came online one by one, showing green across the board. It's working, Jake said, hardly believing it himself. Kira moved closer, watching the readouts in amazement. The power flow is actually more stable than before. How's that possible? The human components are acting like stabilizers. They're smoothing out the energy fluctuations. This is remarkable. You have improved upon technology that has been perfected over centuries. Jake felt a surge of pride. Sometimes an outside perspective helps. I don't know what's supposed to be impossible, so I try things that others might not. That is a very human trait. Is that good or bad? Both, I think. It makes you dangerous and wonderful at the same time. As the days passed, Jake continued fine-tuning the armor systems. Each component required careful calibration to work with his hybrid power system. It was delicate work, but Jake found himself enjoying the challenge. More importantly, he was enjoying the time with Kira. Their conversations had grown longer and more personal. She told him about her training as a warrior, about the philosophy and culture of her people. Jake shared stories of his childhood on Earth, his dreams of exploring the galaxy, and his love of solving impossible problems. What will you do after you catch the pirates? Jake asked one evening. Return home, face my responsibilities. What kind of responsibilities? Kira was quiet for a long time. My people have expectations. There are roles I am expected to fill. What? If you don't want to fill them, want does not matter. Duty comes first. Jake set down his tools and looked at her. That's no way to live. You should have some say in your own future. Not everyone has that luxury. Everyone should have that luxury. Life is too short to spend it doing things that make you miserable. You do not understand. Some people are born to certain roles. We cannot simply abandon them because we wish to do something else. Why not? Because others depend on us. Because tradition demands it. Because ... double quotes, Kira stopped herself. Because what? Because that is how things have always been done. Jake studied her face. There was pain in her eyes and something that looked like longing. What do you want to do? If you could choose anything, what would make you happy? Kira was quiet for so long that Jake thought she wouldn't answer. When she finally spoke, her voice was barely a whisper. I want to be free. I want to make my own choices, follow my own path. I want to see the galaxy and learn about other worlds. I want to be valued for who I am, not what others expect me to be. Then do it. It is not that simple. It could be. You could stay here or go wherever you want. You're a skilled warrior. You could find work anywhere. And abandon my people? Leave them without their ... double quotes. Kira caught herself again. Without their what? Without their protector. I have duties, Jake. People who depend on me. Jake wanted to argue, but he could see the conflict in her eyes. Whatever role she was expected to fill, it was important to her people. But it was also clearly making her unhappy. Maybe there's a middle ground, he said finally. Maybe you can find a way to serve your people and still have some freedom, perhaps. But I do not see how. As Jake put the finishing touches on the armor systems, he found himself dreading the moment when it would be complete. Once Kira's armor was fully functional, she would leave to continue her hunt for the pirates. And after that, she would return to her mysterious duties on her homeworld. The thought of never seeing her again made his chest tight with an emotion he was finally ready to admit. He was falling in love with her. Maybe he had been from the moment he pulled her from that wreckage. But Kira was clearly bound by obligations she couldn't or wouldn't explain. And Jake was just a human engineer on a frontier station. Whatever her secrets were, whatever role she was expected to fill, it was obviously far beyond anything he could offer her. Still, as he watched her examine the nearly completed armor, Jake couldn't help but hope that maybe, somehow, they could find a way to be together. Even if it seemed impossible. After all, he had just made human and alien technology work together in perfect harmony. Maybe other impossible things were possible. 2.